Good evening, good evening, good evening. How is everyone? It is I, James Chandler, coming before you today. And I have something I want to say. We have to make an example out of them. Fight for universal change. This is what this live is about. We have to make an example out of them. Fight for universal change. Now, I brought up before that I have an article in the Michigan Chronicle, volume 89, number 18. This is the edition for December 31st, 2025 to January 6th, 2026. Now, they have another edition or volume, well, not volume, but they have another article, newspaper out there now for, I believe, January 7th to, I believe, the following month. But this is December 31st, 2025, January 6th. December 31st, 2025 to January 6th, 2026. So this article right here with Mary Sheffield on the front. I am in this particular article, right? Volume 18. If y'all can see that. Maybe, maybe not, right? I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it to you guys. This out the way. Because I had something else I wanted to go over too. Here's the article here. There's me in the paper. Detroit cannot ignore these injustices any longer. Let's go through this. And I'm mentioning this for a reason, because I want to bring up something else that I just received in the mail. And again, I want to bring you back to the title of this live, right? We have to make an example out of them. Fight for universal change. Okay, so the article says Detroit cannot ignore these injustices any longer by James Chandler. Detroit is at a crossroads and silence is no longer an option. For too long, residents have been asked to accept systems that are inefficient, inequitable, and in many cases unconstitutional. As a Detroit community activist and a 2025 write-in political candidate, I am speaking out because justice, fairness, and truth are being denied to the people of this city. I have submitted public statements and formal letters to the Detroit City Council, the city clerk, and state officials because these issues demand attention now, not years from now, not after another study, and not after more residents are harmed. Housing inequity is a moral failure. That's the title. Detroit's housing system has drifted far from the principle of equal protection. Today, many renters who pay full market rent out of their own pockets live in worse conditions than tenants in subsidized housing. That reality should trouble anyone who believes in fairness. Equality should not disappear simply because one resident receives assistance and another does not. Tax-paying renters deserve dignity, safety, and habitable housing just as much as anyone else. That is why I am calling for real reform, equal maintenance, and inspection standards for all rental properties, constitutional alignment with the 14th Amendment, and the adoption of a tenant protection threshold law, a safeguard that will prohibit eviction unless a tenant owes at least 6 months of unpaid rent. Housing should be stable, not a revolving door of displacement. Detroit's voting system limits accountability. That's another title or subtitle. Detroit City Council members vote on citywide issues, yet voters are restricted to district-only ballots. This contradiction undermines accountability and discourages civic engagement. I believe Detroit should move to an at-large voting system, allowing every voter to vote for every council member. When leaders know they are accountable to the entire city, not just a slice of it, transparency and responsiveness improve. At the same time, community advisory councils, once intended to empower residents, have become largely non-functional and disconnected from the people they are meant to serve. One-year state IDs are an unnecessary burden. That's another subtopic. One-year state IDs are an unnecessary burden. Michigan's shift to one-year state ID renewals for some residents is more than inconvenient. It is punitive. Repeated fees and bureaucratic hurdles place unnecessary strain on low-income citizens and seniors. This policy raises serious constitutional concerns. Case law such as Murdoch versus Pennsylvania and Shuttlesworth versus Alabama makes clear that governments cannot condition basic rights on repeated licensing schemes. If this change is tied to federal real ID surveillance policies, then residents deserve full transparency and a serious public debate. I'm not for the real ID status or quotum, right? Our rights are reserved. If we don't want to do that, we shouldn't have to be forced into doing that. And they shouldn't change the system and give us a one-year ID, when typically we had a 4-year ID before this change, right? Even though we can go into different rules and laws they're breaking when it comes to licensing in the first place, right? All right. The car tag text makes no sense. Subtopic. The car tag text makes no sense. Here is another example of policy failure. Driver's licenses historically last 4 to 5 years, yet car registration tags must be finishing up on this page. Must be renewed every year. This creates a constant financial and administrative burden that serves the system more than the people. Okay? The solution is simple. Synchronize car tag validity with driver's license terms, ideally 4 years. This reform would reduce red tape, ease financial pressure, and modernize how Michigan manages basic transportation compliance. Accountability, not labels. There's another subtopic. Too often, citizens who question government or judicial conduct are dismissed with stigmatizing labels rather than answered with facts. This is unacceptable. Transparency is not extremism, and accountability is not a threat. I am calling for a meaningful oversight of courts and agencies accused of bias or corruption, including judicial commissions that are supposed to protect the public. I am also advocating for transit reforms along the 8 Mile corridor, action against predatory auto and insurance practices through a proposed car credit recall law, banking reforms that return a fair share of interest profits to depositors, and honest discussions about reparations for African Americans whose labor built Detroit, or even greater than Detroit, built America, right? On the national level, I have proposed Historic Prices Day, a federal holiday that will temporarily roll back the cost of essential goods to 1920s equivalent prices, subsidized by the federal government. The goal is economic relief, transparency, and a reminder that today's prices are policy choices, not inevitabilities. The choice before us, subtopic, the choice before us. Detroit can continue to normalize inequality, bureaucracy, and unaccountable power, or it can choose dignity, fairness, and reform. How long will justice be delayed? How long will fairness be treated as optional? Detroit deserves better. America deserves accountability. And the people deserve leaders who listen before the damage becomes irreversible. James Chandler is a Detroit based community activist, writer, and public advocate focused on housing justice, constitutional rights, government transparency, and community empowerment. And that's actually the end of that article. I want y'all to still go ahead and get the Michigan Chronicle. Again, I'm going to mention the dates. That's December 31st, 2025 to January 6th, 2026. You can still catch it in stores. I just picked this one up from a CVS. So, I had to pick me up some more. But anyways, I want to get to this DTE letter. I'm sure some people may have gotten this. I know I did. So here it is. Dear customer, DTE, right? DTE Energy is making changes to its payment options. Again, going back to the title of this live, y'all. We have to make an example out of them. Make an example out of these people. Right? Fight for universal change. Okay, here we go. Dear customer, DTE Energy is making changes to its payment options. Making changes. Beginning March 2nd, 2026, if you choose to pay your energy bill using a credit or debit card, you will see a processing fee applied. How else do you pay DTE now these days? I mean, some people may still walk up in there, but most of the time it's online using debit or credit, right? So they want to apply a fee to us. Nah. On top of the fee that you have to pay. You get it? They want to add a fee on top of a fee that you already have to pay. These fees are set by our payment processor and are designed to cover the costs associated with card transactions. There will also be a limit on the maximum amount that can be processed in a single transaction. Okay, y'all just not noticing that y'all need some covering for these associated charges or transactions, right? So now they want to make these changes. Like, nah, y'all been handling it, keep on handling it, right? It's like any way they want, they just want to get more money out of us, right? What you need to know: residential accounts, $2.99 processing fee for transaction, $2.99. Okay, who set the prices? We want $2.99, not 0.90, not 97 cents, right? Not a penny, right? Maybe they not 10 cents. Like, give us 10 cents, we can help a child eat. Don't they make those channels? Remember how they used to make those channels? Send us 10 cents, we could feed a child over in Africa. But these niggas, they want $2.99. Listen here. Look, $2.99 processing fee per transaction. Maximum payment amount, $2,000 per transaction. Commercial accounts, $9.99 processing fee per transaction. Maximum payment amount, $5,000 per transaction. Understanding the change. Processing fees do not benefit DTE. Processing fees do not benefit DTE. All right, y'all. Where's the lawyers at? Let me get some sound. We need some lawyers. You know, I'm already in tune to what's going on here, but I need some. Come on. Back me up with this. Is this what they call it? They think we stupid, right? They really think we're stupid. Processing fees do not benefit DTE and are paid directly to the payment processor. Well, we need to get rid of the payment processor. We need to take it out on payment. Let's look at DTE payment processor. We need to go after them. Pay by passing the cost only to those who choose card payments, right? So again, this is discrimination against those who pay with card. That's all it is, a discrimination to those who choose to pay with card. We go into the stores, it's the same thing. Sometimes you can't buy something less than $5. There's a charge, there's a fee. Again, who's making these rules? Who's making these policies? Who's making this up? Usually the stores, the owners, right? Nowhere in law that says that. By passing the cost only to those who choose card payments, we help ensure that customers who pay by bank account or check aren't covering the costs for others. For more information, visit dteenergy.com/card/fee-fee. Fee-free options. You can make payments without fees using several convenient options, online or mobile app with your bank account. By mailing a check or money order, or in person at a kiosk using cash or check. Explore all your payment options at DTE. Okay, it says this. Now this is kind of retarded to me. Okay, and it's kind of screwed up and kind of like, do y'all get what it's saying here? It says fee-free options. Fee-free. You can make payments without fees using several convenient options, online or mobile app. Okay, so if I choose to pay online with my card, is it a fee? Because that's how I've been paying. Why are you sending me this if you know I pay? Is it just me? $5. Okay, so this is the type of stuff that makes me very upset and makes me want to go after these people even harder, right? You know, because I'm at a point right now that's like, okay, I'm trying to open up these businesses, right? And they were supposed to have been already said I got my EINs, but it's not pushed through on the state side, their website. It has to show on their website as a legitimate business. Even though I have my EIN and paperwork, I can take them to court because I have that. So it's like these people, it's always like, okay, they want to fight. They want a court. They want us to take them to court or something. Or, but I'm about ready to jump over their court to do something else with my own status, right? Legally, by constitutional, you know. So it's making me want to study law more. I'm gonna just put it out there like that, you know, because these people, it never ends. Stuff like this happens. What makes you think they're not gonna change something else next time, and it be something worse? If we don't fight now, these people are gonna do some terrible things, and they're gonna get away with it every time. And if it's accepted by their policy and the courts accept it, then it's going to be hard to try to turn it down if we're not fighting for it or fighting against it now. But people just don't get it, right? So it says, important update, auto pay users. As part of this processing fee change, customers enrolled in auto pay using a credit or debit card will be automatically unenrolled on February 27, 2026. Customers who would like to continue using a credit or debit card can re-enroll on or after March 2nd to activate auto pay with the card processing. You see that? You see that? What if they already have auto pay in their debit or auto pay, that is not accessing these fees, but they want to unenroll people? That means they got to go into your information without your consent, right? How else they going to be unenrolled? You unenroll yourself? No. That's not how that happened. You unenroll yourself? No. I'm gonna tell you what Metro PCS did to me a long time ago, right? I had a phone, I had a fee that was something that I was like, okay, I'm gonna be paying $49.99. I was good with that. Or was it? I think it was either $49.99 or 39. No, it probably was like $49.99. And then Metro PCS changed something. And they said, oh, if you wanted better features, you can change to this, but the plan is a little higher. It moved me up to, I think, 50 at the time. I'm paying more than that now, but but yeah, it moved me up to 50. I was mad. And then it's like when I try to get that feedback, the 49, they said, no, we can't give you that back because that's no longer exists, and that fee is gone, and that you can't go back, or you can buy another phone, and you can pay some more charges for this. Like, no, they play games like this. Same thing they do. Metro PC, these companies do this. And again, America in itself is a corporation. And they make these policies against the Constitution. Unconstitutional. We should be suing these people for $250,000. At least. We supposed to have some money, y'all. And then it's like, lawyers cost a lot of money, right? But if you go pro se, you probably could win if you know your stuff, right? But a lot of people ain't trying to learn their stuff. This is a scam. You unenroll people without their consent so that you can charge them a fee on top of the bill that they don't even have to pay because your debts is already prepaid according to the UCC. They don't want to talk about that though. We're constantly paying these bills. We're constantly turning over and doing all this stuff. We have a promise of an American dream that we haven't seen yet. We should be suing these people because of the lie they told. The lie they choose to carry on. Right? I'm not being heard as much as I should, right? I'm not being heard as much as I should. So I'm going to have to take it up a notch, right? I'm going to have to take it up a notch. We're going to have to turn up the heat on them, right? Again, as I stated in the title, check out the title. It's like we have to, y'all. We have to make an example out of them. Laura, starting your businesses with Laura, these corporations trying to get things done. And it's like I put in these fees, tried to pay for the trademarks, put in fees for that. The courts, like it's easy for them to come after you for anything, a ticket, whatever, right? But when you come after them, of course, I had my cases and they had to send the attorney general. Not a regular lawyer. You have to send an attorney general after me. Come on, attorney general. Come on, Cletus. Right? And that's what's been going on. And these people smiling in your face while they trying to take your place. Backstabbers. I tell you, they backstabbers. I tell you, man, it's like we need to bring this up to the city council. DTE, all this stuff. Listen here, DTE. This shouldn't be. DTE, this shouldn't be. DTE, this shouldn't be. And that's my fuss for the night. I'm out.